Welcome to The Countdown, the show that counts down the 5 coolest things happening in space right now. In this episode, black hole buddies, water on Mars, and an extraterrestrial Iron Man. But first...
5.
Black holes supposedly don't play well together. When they get too close, it's thought a bigger black hole will push a baby black hole away, or swallow it up entirely and become even larger. So a team of astronomers was surprised when they discovered a cluster of stars with at least 2 black holes hanging out inside. The black holes live in a star cluster called M22, which is part of our own Milky Way galaxy, and each one has 10 to 20 times the mass of our own sun. The current thinking is baby black holes get kicked out of star clusters by bigger black holes when they're born. This new finding tells us they might be held in place by the dense network of stars that make up the cluster, so there could be hundreds of black holes hiding out in M22. We just can't see them because they're not actively spitting out gas. The work appears in the October 3rd issue of the journal Nature.
4.
Over the years, we've heard some pretty harebrained schemes to combat global warming, like dumping tons of iron in the ocean to grow more CO2-eating plankton, or bombarding the atmosphere with sulfate particles to block out the sun. But the latest idea, from a space scientist at Scotland's Advanced Space Concepts Laboratory, takes the Armageddon Prize for both bravado and small chance of success.
How you feeling? Considering I've never been this scared in my entire life,
The idea goes something like this. First, we somehow harness an asteroid the size of Ganymede, which you might recall is the largest near-Earth asteroid and weighs about 286 billion pounds. Next, we use a mass driver, a device that spews out material from the asteroid to propel it to Lagrange point L1. This is where the gravitational pull of the sun and the Earth cancel out. It's about 4 times farther from the Earth than the moon is. Here, the mass driver keeps pumping out material from the asteroid, which creates a large cloud of space dust that envelops the Earth. This dust will block out the sun's rays and counteract the rise in global temperature from burning fossil fuels. Aside from the near impossibility of moving a giant asteroid, there's one other small problem. If we don't get the asteroid in exactly the right position, pulled equally by the sun and Earth, it could come crashing down on top of us. Personally, I'd rather start buying solar panels.
3.
On Sunday, October 7th, SpaceX will launch its Dragon capsule and make the first contracted cargo trip to the ISS on behalf of NASA. SpaceX is one of 2 private spaceflight companies that signed contracts with NASA under its Commercial Resupply Services plan. The Dragon capsule will carry about 1,000 pounds of supplies, including science experiments and space station hardware. When the rocket reaches the ISS, it will connect to the space station through a docking port, and the scientists will control it through a robotic arm. You can watch the launch live on NASA TV at 8:35 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
2.
This is Iron Man. No, not that Iron Man. This guy is a 23-pound, 2-foot-tall statue. He may not be a superhero, but he has lived in Tibet, emulated a god, been kidnapped by Nazis, and he came from outer space. In 1938, Nazi archaeologists came across the figure, which was sculpted in 11th century Tibet. Researchers think it may represent the Tibetan Buddhist god Vajrayana. The statue has a swastika stamped on its torso, which was originally a Buddhist religious symbol, and this may be what inspired the Nazis to take it back to Germany. Modern-day researchers analyzed the Iron Man's chemical makeup. The metals in the statue match those in fragments of the Chinga meteorite, which fell to Earth about 10 to 20,000 years ago. A piece of the meteorite must have reached our Tibetan sculptor, who used it to craft this extraterrestrial Iron Man.
1.
The Curiosity rover has found the best evidence yet that water once flowed across the surface of Mars. Small stones wedged in bedrock are all that remains of a dried-up stream bed. The embedded rocks, called clasts, are too large for the wind to have blown into place, and it looks like long-gone water has evened out their surfaces. When a stream runs over rocks, it gradually smooths out stones and carries them along. So when the water dries up, it leaves behind rounded pebbles and pieces of gravel, exactly like the ones we found on Mars. In the past, satellites have snapped photos indicating Mars once had water. But of all the tantalizing clues, this is the best one yet. And that's your countdown. For links to all of these stories and more, visit scientificamerican.com/thecountdown. The link's in the description below. You can also subscribe to the Space Lab channel or watch another video. For Scientific American, I'm Sophie Bushwick, shooting through space at 30,000 meters per second.